Welcome to the Supreme Court of Texas. We'll hear argument in 3 cases this morning. The first is 240102 JP Morgan Chase Bank versus the City of Corsicana and Navarro County.
Here we go again, Watchdogs. Welcome back to the channel. Pack your snacks and your sarcasm, because we're taking the accountability bus right back to Corsicana, Texas. About 3 to 4 months ago, I did an audit here. A few of you saw it. Hit my inbox with, BZ, you might want to look at this. And I've been quietly pulling receipts ever since. I wasn't ready to drop the story until now. First course on tonight's menu, JP Morgan Chase versus the City of Corsicana. Yup, straight to the Texas Supreme Court, where the bank says the city isn't living up to an economical development deal and wants its money. Nothing like meeting your municipal budget on the way to oral arguments, right? Second course, retire today, temp tomorrow special. The longtime city manager retires, then pops back up through a staffing agency doing essentially the same job. Is it legal? Is it a loophole? Is it the municipal version of putting on a fake mustache and clocking back in? We'll walk through the docs and the state law tripwires and let you decide. Third course, council drama. Members speaking out against their own council, even stepping down, because nothing says good governance like musical chairs at City Hall. And if this is giving you deja vu of that Texas City saga Harvey Freebird covered, you're not alone. Is this where someone finally gets caught doing something unlawful or just wildly unethical? Are taxpayers basically paying twice while the city can't even keep its deal with JP Morgan? We're sticking to the records. You tell me. Before we dive in, smash that like button, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell, and drop your thoughts in the comment section. All right, let's roll those receipts.
I have a letter, and I wasn't going to mention this either, but I've got an email that one of the council members got from a citizen in town that is shameful. It's just absolutely shameful. And if you want to see it, I'll show it to you, because you can find it on open records request.
So I'll say this. Connie sent us an email with her notice of retirement that was dated as September 1st or whenever we find a suitable replacement. I believe that was, do you recall that was the wording?
When was that email sent?
February. I don't remember. It was in February.
Okay, so she sent an email in February, and she started working for Top Notch in March. So she technically was not the city, she was acting as a city manager because she's not being employed by us, she's being employed by Top Notch, correct? Because she's working for a temp agency, so she's their employee, not our employee, correct?
Jim, can you answer that?
I'll respond to that. Yes, in fact, she retires March 1st. The council has discussions with her about, recognizing they're going to have to go out on a search to find a new city manager, that they really would like her services to continue. But since she retired, then she went to the agency, and then the agency, in fact, the city employed her through the agency. So not through regular employment. And then, of course, as the council's better familiar with the story than I am, but then there was a selection process that went on for city manager, but then there was a change in council, so the council decided not to make an appointment, and that time was extended further for Connie Standridge to continue to be the interim city manager. Then council, as they were looking at options for further recruitment, retained SGR, and I was retained as interim city manager through SGR as a contracted interim city manager.
I guess I'm trying to be as transparent and ask questions that the public has as well. So who legally, was that legal that she was hired through Top Notch and not through the city? If she is on our charter, you have to be employed by the city to be city manager.
Well, that's one way to be employed, but through an agency is also another way to be employed as city manager. For example, myself. It's not the agency that the city has contracted, Top Notch, but it's SGR, a consulting firm that I'm contracted through. So that's still, it's a couple of ways to retain a city manager, one through contract and one through full employment. But after 28 years and reaching that golden age, Connie decided she wanted to retire. And so then the city council needed to figure out how in the interim, they were going to keep a manager in place until you all select a new manager.
And doing the contracts, when we are doing contracts for our employees, there was never a vote on her contract. So I guess the question was, who made the decision for the salary, who signed off on the contract to make this happen? We came in May, so we don't know what happened prior to May.
So,
But my question is, who made the agreement, who signed off on it?
yeah, so the difficult thing with this is that since this is personnel matters, this was discussed in executive session. And so because of that, I would have to throw this back to Carrie that there's very little we can talk about in open session since it was a personnel matter decided in executive session.
In Councilman Woolsey's defense, he didn't make the law. So he's merely stating
Yeah.
what it is. What I believe should have happened is that it should have been voted on by the council. It was not. And the purpose of this is to be as transparent as is possible. And that is what our interim city manager is asking us to do, is to, not me to do, I don't have a vote, but I concur that it needs to be done in the interest of transparency. It did not change anything financially. The dollars and cents are identical, is my understanding. I'm not in that department. But I don't think it's illegal. I don't think it's as transparent as it could have been. I think the transparent thing is what they're trying to do, what you as a council are trying to do at the recommendation of your interim city manager. And that is to ratify what you've already done and what you agreed to.
Knowing now that we have to vote on it.
Correct, knowing now that that's what should have happened.
And most importantly, to the people in the audience, taking out "and future." So
Correct.
there will be no future services.
Because that did seem to be the concern, is you're ratifying, which ratifies, basically you're making right what's already happened, what's been done, and you're fixing it, and you're not going to make the same mistake in the future. And it's that simple. And it's not a discussion other than with the council. So So I commend you for your desire to make it as transparent as is possible and to own up to that it wasn't done exactly it wasn't best practices. And I'm thankful that you want to do it best practices. I don't think anything illegal happened. And so that's, I think transparency is the key, and that's what you're trying to do, and I admire you for it, because this is the abuse you get to take as a result of attempting to be transparent, so.
Okay, this is not up for discussion. It's happened. We're trying to make it right. I will take some blame in this, that, like Chris said, this was discussed in executive session. I should have done a better job following up on it, and I apologize that I did not. Quite honestly, all of the stuff after that happened, I had no knowledge of it until about 2 weeks ago, until when an employee brought this to my attention, that Connie was working for Top Notch. I didn't know. I took it immediately to Jim. we're trying to ratify it, like Carrie said, and trying to fix it. So
Notch, correct? Because she's working for a temp agency, so she's their employee.
Interim city manager.
I guess I'm trying to be as transparent and ask questions that the public has as well. So who legally, it was that legal that she was hired through? And doing the contracts, when we are doing contracts for our employees, there was never a vote on, so we don't know what happened prior to May.
So,
But my question is, who made the agreement, who signed off on it?
yeah, so the difficult thing.
What it is. What I believe, it was not. And the purpose of this is to be attempting to be transparent, so.
I'd like to recuse myself from this vote, if you don't mind. I don't think it's right for me to vote for myself.
very well.
I do have a question, though.
Yes, ma'am.
And Jeff, I really want you to explain, because this is a great opportunity, how the city of Corsicana residents will really benefit from you being on this board.
It's not the review board where people go in and protest. It's the actual board, to my understanding at this point, where we set the guidelines of how things are assessed. With my experience in real estate, I'd like to go in and see what actually I could get done to not cost the city too much, but at the same time, we've got to give some relief to the citizens.
I have an announcement.
Please.
So, dear Mayor, council members, I hereby tender my resignation from position as City Council Member of Precinct 1, Corsicana, effective immediately, July 28, 2025. This decision comes after deep reflection on the events that have transpired since my swearing-in May of 2024. And I can no longer in good conscience serve under the current conditions, and I submit this resignation as a matter of personal and civic protest. It was an honor to serve the citizens of Corsicana, and bid y'all farewell. It's already signed, it's right here.
Yeah. Mayor, I move to accept the resignation.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion by Mr. Woolsey, second by Ms. Johnson. Are there any questions or comments?
I will have a comment. Will, thank you for your service here with the city of Corsicana. Truly enjoyed the time that we had, and thank you for serving your community. I appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a comment, too. Yes, sir. As the rookie here on the DM and being here for 10 months, I also want to thank you, Will, for your service to the city and some of the very interesting and great conversations that you and I have had over these 10 months, and wish you best. And I know you'll be successful in whatever direction you choose to go.
Excuse me about my emotions, but I'm very passionate about this community. I rise today, not just as a council member, but as a representative of the people, all people. What's happening regarding this appointment for Precinct 1 is not just disappointing, but it's portrayal of what's fair representation should look like for this city. Precinct 1 is around 50% Hispanic, and for the first time in our council's history, we had a chance to honor that with a qualified Latino representative who understands the community, lives in its realities, and is long overdue for a seat at this table. But instead, Political games have taken priority over the public good. Let's be honest, this seat is being pushed forward towards someone not based on merit, experience, or connection with the community, but because of political influence. This is a nonpartisan seat. It should not matter who is Democrat or Republican. Worse, this individual never reached out to me directly. Everyone has heard from this individual. Instead, they used a former African-American official to do so, as if I wasn't worthy of a direct conversation. And to me, that felt like disrespect and dismissive, and it sends a message that I cannot ignore. I will not co-sign this process. I will not support a candidate selected through exclusion, manipulation, and political pandering. Corsicana deserves representation that is earned, not appointed in secret back rooms. So let's set the record straight. I stand for equality, I stand for honest leadership, and I stand for the people in Precinct 1, Precinct 2, Precinct 3, and Precinct 4. So with protests, I respectfully remove myself from this vote and this meeting. You guys have a good night.
All right, Watchdogs, let's land this plane before Corsicana finds another way to reinvent municipal math. Tonight's field trip had everything: a Texas Supreme Court cameo, a retirement that aged about 11 days, a temp agency plot twist, and City Hall playing musical chairs until the music stopped and 2 seats just walked out. Quick recap for the folks in the cheap seats. Act 1, JP Morgan Chase versus City of Corsicana, Navarro County. The bank says, hey, you promised economic development money. Where's the money? The city says, public purpose, controls, jurisprudence. Trust us, bro. The justices ask, so are there strings on this gift, or is it just wrapping paper? The oral argument took place on September 11, 2025. We brought snacks. Act 2, the legendary Retire Today, Temp Tomorrow special. City manager retires, then abracadabra reappears via a staffing agency doing essentially the same job as city manager. Is that legal? Sometimes. Is it great optics? Only if you're squinting from space. If the plan requires a fake mustache, it might be a loophole, not leadership. Act 3, council theater. We got speeches, we got shade, we got a resignation read live, and we got a reminder that transparency means more than whispering executive session and hoping the word counts as open government. If trust is the currency, somebody's overdrawn. And because this channel reads the footnotes, here's tonight's lawsuit roll call. You can Google, read, and file under sunshine, please. 1, JP Morgan Chase Bank versus City of Corsicana, Navarro County. Texas Supreme Court review of whether Corsicana's economic development tax rebate agreements tied to the Gander Mountain project were unconstitutional for lack of public purpose/controls. Oral argument, September 11, 2025, up from Waco COA. 2, Gerard versus City of Corsicana. Former Corsicana police officers employment discrimination/retaliation case. City's motion to dismiss, granted in part, denied in part, on February 19, 2025. 3, Rios versus City of Corsicana. Pro se 1983 excessive force suit. The allegation JPX device to the face while handcuffed. Magistrate recommended dismissal unless amended August 9th of 2024 after a stay tied to related criminal matters. While that courtroom drama simmers, our local saga keeps trying to convince us that ratify later is the new vote first. We heard on mic acknowledgments about executive session decisions, after the fact cleanup, and a whole lot of not illegal, just not best practices. Imagine telling your boss you ratify clocking in after your shift. Let me know how HR takes that. And then there's the representation piece. A council member standing up, calling out political games, and walking out rather than co-signing what she calls a backroom special. You may disagree with her, but at least that's accountability you can see, not minutes that show up 3 minutes later with the timestamp shuffled like a deck of Uno. Here's the bigger point. Process protects people. If you truly did everything right, then the paperwork should sing like a choir. Contracts, scopes, disclosures, procurement steps, the whole hymn book. If the answer to every question is executive session, the congregation starts humming. Something's off. It ain't minor. So, Corsicana, consider this your polite, well-lit nudge from the internet. If you can't pay JP Morgan what you promised because the deal no longer pencils, show the legal pathway. If your city manager can retire and perform the same role through a temp firm without tripping any lines, show the compliance trail. If a council appointment respects the community it claims to represent, show the criteria and the vote. Sunlight is free, unlike litigation. All right, housekeeping, because I know City Hall takes notes. Smash that like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you see what pops out of the next executive decision. Drop a comment with the next record we should request. CIQ/CIS disclosures, procurement memos, timesheets, I file them. City contact info is below if you want to politely redress your government or just ask fair questions. Keep it civil, keep it factual, and CC the city secretary so it goes into the record. If you want this watchdog to keep eating public records feast for breakfast, leave a donation or become a channel member. Links are down below. It helps cover Texas Public Information Act cost, hosting, and extra highlighters I burn through when someone writes transparent in 18-point bold and forgets the attachments. Remember, sunlight is still the best disinfectant. I'm your boy BZWATCHDOG. See you in the next corruption video where we bring flashlights, extra batteries, and an industrial strength eye roll. Stay loud, stay lawful, and keep those receipts coming.
BZWATCHDOG.